Ah.
Hey, listen!
Hello everybody, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Shak and today I'm going to be doing a little wee baguette. Today I'm going to be doing a very small, little, tiny spring book haul. I don't usually buy a lot of books and so I don't really haul a lot. But as I said in my last haul video, which I don't think was that actually long ago, I would like to start hauling more books because when I do buy them and when I do buy books, it is probably books that I am really excited about. So we have a bunch here. I think 2 of them are from Books That Matter boxes. I think I unboxed one of them in the March box, so I'll link that down below. We've also got 2 non-fiction books as well because I wanted to read some more non-fiction this year and I haven't done that quite yet. So I'm just making my way through some of the releases that I really wanted to read and we'll get to those in a little bit. And the rest of them are a mixture of young adult and just regular adult fiction. Everything is in here, poetry, there's a lot of stuff in here and I can't wait to show you what I am hauling this spring. Because I mostly talk about fiction on the channel, I thought I would get the non-fiction books out of the way just in case you want to skip over them. I know that non-fiction isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it definitely is mine. And I'm actually currently reading one of these books, which is how I know it definitely is my cup of tea. I probably have finished this by the time you're watching this, but I am actually currently reading, and I did haul this in the same in spring, and that is Attached by Dr. Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller. So this is basically all about attachment theory. Every human has experiences and connections and relationships, and with these experiences and relationships we form a certain attachment style. You can be avoidant, where you are too really scared to let people be truly close to you and intimate with you. As soon as things get a little bit too much for you, that's when you peace out. Then we have anxious. In an anxious attachment style you have a lot of like abandonment issues, and this normally stems from childhood. It also can come from other experiences as well. I have actually only read 30 pages of this book, but I am absolutely invested in it, and one of the most interesting things about this is the fact that they keep updating it, including different kinds of relationships, and the fact that originally they thought this whole like attachment theory only stemmed in childhood when actually it can happen at any age, which is really interesting. I really liked reading about that. And then finally we also have secure, which is like you are not insecure about your attachment at all. You find relationships to be secure bases and secure places to be, where you can be your own person but also allow people to help you and to help and love others as well. My therapist actually recommended this to me and it took me a while to actually get the balls to buy and read this. It has been sitting on my shelf for a very long time. I've just been kind of like glancing over it like, should I read that? I probably should read that. But what I like about this so far anyway is the fact that it not only gives you a rundown of each of the attachment types, it gives you very specific examples throughout as well. So far anyway, I'm only 30 pages in, but yeah, I can't wait to read on with this. I'm actually really invested. I was so sad to get off the bus and have to go to work yesterday because I wanted to read more of this, and I haven't felt like that about a non-fiction book ever. I really do think that reading more about my attachment style will help me and other people in my life, and I'm really excited to carry on with this, and it is a book I hauled in spring. Next we have a book that probably literally no one but me cares about, and that is okay, and that is Film Art and Introduction, the 12th edition by David Bordwell, Kristen Thompson and Jeff Smith. This book is referenced constantly on my degree course by my lecturers. It is fucking everywhere. Anytime I use like a source online, it is usually this book because it is fucking phenomenal. If you didn't know, I study media production as an undergraduate. My course basically molds theory and practical elements together in order to prove that you know your theory but also can apply it to your own work as well. So that is my shit, and this book really helped me in getting to that transition because I got to a point where I was really good at the theory and I knew what I was doing and I knew what other people were doing, but I couldn't necessarily like actually apply that in practice, and now I'm getting better at that, and film art has really helped me do that. It is a gorgeous book with La La Land on the cover, and I would really recommend, even if you just like media and film or TV a little bit, to get this and pick it up. It is just an introduction, so it can skim over some parts, but I thought I'd get an actual like physical copy of this to go with my collection of books that I have about film and media and stuff, because I use it all the goddamn time online and I read it online all the time. I thought I'd just pick up and treat myself to an actual physical copy because I am a gigantic nerd. Moving swiftly onwards from non-fiction, we're going to go into the books that I received from Books That Matter unboxings. From the March box we had Anna Sampson's She Will Soar, which is a poetry collection made by women for women. And then we also have April's book here, which is Conjure Women by Efia Atakora, which I'm not actually sure, it's very vague of what the description of this is about, but on the back it says, you're free to decide your future, but how do you escape the ghosts of the past? I'm guessing it's like self-discovery novel about trauma and past, and I'm very, very excited. Now moving on to the other pieces of fiction I bought myself, and the first one is This Is How You Lose the Time Warp by Max Gladstone and Amal El Motar. I've actually already read this. I read this for Filmathon, and this is going to become a common theme in this video. I think I've got one other book, maybe more, that I bought to fit my Filmathon TBR, because none of the books I had on my shelves fit them. And this one in particular was a book about war. It was for the Catherine Bigelow prompt. I will link down below my full Filmathon wrap-up, which is basically a readathon that I run if you're interested. But I'll leave my wrap-up for that, aka my April wrap-up, down below, so you can go and see more of my thoughts. How do I describe this book? This is basically like time-traveling lesbians. We're basically on either sides of a time war in between our two main characters, Red and Blue, who communicate through time via letters. And because their love is so taboo in so many ways, so for example, they're on the other ends of a time war, they're also lesbians, like, because these two things exist and they are such a prevalent part of their romance, they go about sending their letters in a less conventional way, but they're so romantic. Some of the letters can be burned and that's how you see the words, some of them can be swallowed and ingested and that's how you get the words. It is so well done and almost too whimsical for me. It was really great, and I thought that the writing was amazing, sublime. It was fantastic. But yeah, I really did enjoy this, and I'm really glad that I read it and bought it in spring. Next we have a little bit of a different read, and that is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is in the trilogy of books called The Brown Sisters. I haven't actually read any of them apart from the first one, Get a Life, Chloe Around, which I do have a vlog of, so you can go and check that out if you wish. But these three books are basically adult romances about three of the sisters, exactly that, Danny, Chloe, and now Eve. This is actually a new release, and I really need to read the second book in the series before I can get to this, but I will get to it eventually, I promise. So this is all about Eve, the third and final brown sister, who is a self-confessed hot mess. It seems like no matter how hard she tries at anything in life that she just fails, and so she decides to give up, which honestly, what a mood. We also follow Jacob Wayne, who is always in control. He runs a B&B, and when a suspicious main character, cough cough, I think it's Eve, applies for the chef position at his B&B. They develop this, I'm guessing, like haters to lovers romance, and it ends up being all hunky-dory, and it seems like such a good read for me personally. Just like Chloe Brown, I feel like the universe with these books and the themes that exist within them is just like, read this book, Shak. Read this fucking book. I'm really excited, actually. I love these books. Full of passion, full of romance, and the naughty stuff, which I kind of ignore. They're full of relatable characters, and it's just a good time, and I'm really excited to get back into this world. I really am. Next we have Tiny Pretty Things by Sonia Karapitra and also Danielle Clayton. This was supposed to be in my Filmathon TBR, but unfortunately I just didn't get round to it. I was in a massive reading slump after I DNF'd a book during the Filmathon in April, and you can obviously go and see more of that in my April wrap up, but I meant to read this and I didn't, and I feel really bad because I missed out on I think 2 of the prompts for my own readathon, which I felt so bad about. But I think I'll get back to this. I really do. I'm really interested in it. So Tiny Pretty Things is based in New York's most competitive, brutal dance studio, and we follow 3 main characters, I believe, who are setting it out to be the best dancer in the world. They'll do anything and everything to become the best. From what I know about this, Tiny Pretty Things really delves into what it's like to be a dancer and the kind of perfectionism that people expect of you. I think it delves into mental health issues such as eating disorders and stuff, so obviously trigger warning for me and for you when going into this. But I think it's going to be really hard hitting, and I can relate to this a lot because obviously I'm not a dancer, but I do kind of have this really high expectation for myself to always be perfect, and I have struggled with an eating disorder for like 10 years now, so I really am excited but also skeptical of this because it could be quite triggering, but I think once I'm in the right headspace I could get a lot out of this. Next is a book I have heard nothing but good things about, and that is The House in the Greenland Sea by TJ Klune. I have heard nothing but good things about this book. When I say that, I mean that, truly I do, because everyone seems to love this book. Everyone and their mum and their mum's dog and their mum's camel? Why do I think of camel? That is such a weird animal to think of. On the back here it says, The House in the Cerulean Sea is an enchanted love story masterfully told about the profound experience of discovering an unlikely family in an unexpected place and realising that family is yours. So I'm guessing this is kind of like another one of those coming of age novels. I've heard it's a middle grade, but very like, the line's very like blur between middle grade and YA for this. Fan family, coming of age, possibly queer, also very old on booktube, and I feel like I don't like this, I'm gonna be shunned. I don't know when I'm gonna get a chance to read this, but it's gonna pull at my heartstrings. I just know it. Next we have a beautiful cover, and I think even the word beautiful doesn't really describe this cover very well, and that is The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna. I've heard also a lot of good things about this as well, and as you can see my cover is very pretty. It has these gold and green tones, and then bam! It's fucking sprayed edges, bro! It's the fucking edges are sprayed! Again, this one is very vague in the terms of the description of the plot. I've also heard very good things about this one as well though. On the back here it says, are we girls or are we demons? Or are we dancing? In this bold and immersive fantasy, a young heroine fights to save a world that would dare to tame her and discovers she is her own fiercest weapon. Oh my fucking god, I'm so excited! Girls, girl power, women in general, I am fucking there, my guy. I am front row. I am really excited for this. And then I've always said that, take a shot of holy water every time I say that, and you will be Jesus fucking H Christ himself. I think this is going to be a tale about strength and resilience and being your own person, if that makes sense. On the front here it actually says outcasts by blood, warriors by choice. This feels like it has to be read soon. It just has to be, doesn't it? It just has to be. It sounds so good. Moving swiftly on, we've got A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. I actually read this for the filmathon in April. Already read this and I can't remember what I gave it, so I will link the wrap up down, but I don't think I gave it more than a 4 star. This is about Effie and Tavia, who are basically in this magical realist world. It's kind of like magical realism, but there's more like emphasis on the realism rather than the magic, which is kind of why I feel like my rating was a lot lower than I anticipated, because I thought it was going to be a lot more of the magical side rather than the realistic element. It kind of didn't work for me. Anyway, Tavia is a black woman who is also a siren, and there's a lot of discourse going around in the book at the time about whether sirens should be allowed a voice, whether they should be allowed around, and who's a siren, who's not. Her adopted sister and best friend Effie is also fighting her own struggles, and we get these two perspectives from both of them. Tavia kind of fighting for sirens' rights and also black women on the side, so that is a lovely metaphor right there. And also Effie as she tries to find herself and find who her family are and what mystical being she fits into, because her skin keeps peeling off. I found myself represented in this book. I know that probably wasn't intentional, but Effie is some sort of like being where her skin sheds, but like she has eczema. And as someone who has psoriasis, which is kind of like the same thing, a little bit more severe, like connected with like an autoimmune disease rather than just like your skin, her shedding her skin like that and being like flaky, I felt seen. Honestly, I really did. Of course, the two of them have to navigate school and public life and family life while dealing with their own magical issues and family history. I would have preferred this to be more of like a fantasy and go into like the world building and the lore, which I think is a lot of people's responses and reviews to this book. But I did read and also haul this in spring, and you can go ahead and see my filmathon wrap-up video for more details about my thoughts specifically. Next is a book I feel like I have been waiting for forever to release, and that is Sometimes I Fall Asleep Thinking About You by Katharine Hancock. A look into the process of recovering after a particularly bad love. This is a collection of poetry on the feeling of never getting closure, that lingering longing you still get even when you know you shouldn't, and how it feels to finally be able to say, I have let you go after years of struggling to find the words. This feels like something I really need to hear right now. Not for any like, I mean sort of for specific reasons, but not for anything that's happened recently. I feel like I just have a lot of a hard time letting people go, like come and go out of my life, which is a natural part of everyone's life. You can't just hang on to people if they don't want to stay or if they're not meant to be in your life, if their chapter is now closed. Like, I feel like I just have a really hard time. Should we bring back attached? I feel like this is really appropriate to hold up attached now. Like, yeah, attachment style, let's go. But yeah, I just have like a really hard time letting people like do whatever they want, and I find the need to like hold on to people even if they're like in my past sort of thing. Kind of like romanticize them in a way. And I feel like this will really help me sort of like realize this and get over it, and even maybe not get over it fully, but maybe just be seen and recognize that everyone has these problems and it's not just me. But yeah, I'm really excited to get a new poetry collection from Katharine Hancock. I read Shades of Love and I absolutely fell head over heels for it. I might even treat myself in May maybe or June of reading this one and also rereading Shades of Lover as well, because I absolutely adored that book and I fell in love with Katharine Hancock's poetry ever since. I actually forgot that I pre-ordered this and it came and I almost cried. Genuinely almost cried of happiness because I need this right now. Thank you, universe. Thank you. Next is a long-awaited sequel to a book I have been waiting for a long time, and that is Infinity Reaper by Adam Silvera. As I've already said, this is the well-awaited sequel to Infinity Sun, also by Adam Silvera, which is the first book. I read Infinity Sun quite a while ago, so I'm really hoping that Adam Silvera does the whole like recap of everything that happened in book one, like intertwined within the writing of this. Obviously, I can't say much about the plot for this, but this series is essentially a tale about brothers and like the chosen one trope. It's got a lot of magic in it. It's got like loads of unique powers, and if you like that sort of thing, like superheroes, if you like, you know, powers and interesting storylines between siblings and friendships, I really would recommend this. It is really good, and I'm really excited to get to Infinity Reaper finally. Next, we have a book that I didn't actually intend on picking up, and that is a classic. We've got Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is about Rebecca, who on a trip to France falls in love with wealthy, handsome Max Maxim de Winter, I say it like that. He is widowed and he brings her to his mansion, but as they get there, something doesn't really feel right. Rebecca obviously ignores this, as all women do when they get in relationships with men that show nothing but red flags. She ignores everything and gets married to him, and then slowly realizes that she doesn't even know properly the man that she is married to. And every single one of the rooms in his mansion is haunted by his first ever wife. I just realized that his wife's called Rebecca, not the main character. The main character doesn't have a name. That's literally the point. That is literally the point. Just ignore everything I just said. Anyway, it still goes the same. You know, Rebecca is haunting these rooms and the main character comes in like, I'm his new wife, what a bitch, and she's like, boo. Obviously that's a very oversimplification of a beautiful classical story, and that is exactly why I wanted to buy it. I've heard, again, a lot of good things about this, and I'm pretty sure there's a movie like remake of this, I think. I remember watching it in like a media studies class, and I really actually enjoyed it, and everyone else didn't, and everyone was like really confused about what was going on, and me being like a feminist at age 13 was like, yeah boy, I am really interested in reading this. And if you want me to do like a reading vlog of me experimenting with some classics, maybe, I don't really read classics that often, I'm pretty behind in the world of classics, let me know, because I will do that for you, and maybe it'll be fun to see my reactions to this, as I haven't ever read it before, so that's something in mind. Coming to the last few books now, I absolutely promise, and the next one is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This is again a new release, and it's all about Grace, who is very rigid. She knows what she wants, she's got her PhD, and she wants to go into a very good science career. Let's go. After her PhD, she goes on a girls trip to Vegas to celebrate. Oh yeah, she does. And while she is in Vegas, she marries a woman by accident. Just pure bounce. She just marries someone pure bounce. When she returns to New York, she's got this wife, and obviously that is going to disrupt her plans and what she thought she wanted in life, and she kind of has to face the reality of everything that she's been hiding, and I am so excited for this. Feels like a really good romance between two women that is not going to be like over sexualized or over like, you know, dramatized for the male gaze. It's going to just be two women falling in love, two women like self-discovering, and I'm so freaking excited. Heard nothing but good things about this. 5 stars left, right, and fucking center. I can't wait to always give this a 5 stars. I might eat my words with that, but I'm gonna say that anyway because I'm really excited. Okay. This next book I also have heard just recently some really good things about it, and that is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I read The Humans by Matt Haig and I didn't really like it. No offense to anyone who did like it. No offense to Matt Haig himself. I see some of his tweets on my timeline. I don't follow him because I don't really particularly like some of the reading that I've read of his, but I know that a lot of other people I follow do, and I see a lot of his tweets actually on my timeline. I know he's got some really good takes. Like, I kind of like his content on Twitter. When I heard a lot about this that was really positive, I thought I'd just give it a try and buy it. I was in Tesco one day and I thought, you know what, that cover looks really pretty, and it does look absolutely fucking gorgeous. I think this is a middle grade book all about grief and life and death, and basically between life and death, in like a purgatory if you will, there is a library. When our main character Nora finds herself in the Midnight Library, this like purgatory between life and death, it's finally time for her to make things right, because for her, she's made quite a lot of mistakes while she's been alive. The books in the Midnight Library, as described in the synopsis, allow Nora to live her life in a different way. She can now undo all of her biggest regrets with the help of an old friend, but with these regrets being removed, Nora's life is completely different, and she doesn't really anticipate that beforehand, and so now she's in a lot of danger and things are really different. In the synopsis on the back here it says, before time runs out, she must answer the ultimate question: what is the best way to live? Again, I have heard nothing but good things about this and the writing and the premise and everything like that. I've heard a lot of trigger warnings as well for mental health and suicide and death, because that is obviously discussed quite a lot in this book because of like the Midnight Library and what it means and stuff. I'm gonna be completely honest with you and completely candid, and this is just me talking to you as like a person, you know, what up, I have feelings. I have been feeling so lost recently, not like myself, really out of touch. I've just been really stressed. I have been so stressed that I didn't get a period for 3 months. To be honest with you, I haven't really been feeling like my best authentic self, which is probably why I haven't been active on social media that much, why I haven't really been making fresh new content, oh yeah, you're so unique, and why I haven't really felt like my bouncy usual self. I can feel that coming back, I really can. I've been quite stressed with work, going back and bartending after the pandemic, and you know, going to uni and all my deadlines like coming at the same time, and just some personal things I've been going through in therapy and stuff. It's kind of heavy, and I thought that therapy would be this thing where it was just like, you know, wow, getting better, but it's like this. One day I feel like I'm getting better, and then the next day I feel like I'm never going to get better at all, and then I'm going to have like a massive epiphany, and then I'm back in it, you know? Recovery in therapy just isn't linear, and I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't really been feeling my best self. And when I found out what this book was about and how it was about, you know, living your life to the fullest potential, not having many regrets, although having regrets, not maybe wanting to change them, and noticing that everything happens for a reason and suicide isn't the answer, I feel like the universe, again, gave me this book and said, Shak, read this. I don't want to get emotional, but I have it in a really dark place and I feel like I really do need this. I appreciate and I know that is a lot of pressure to put on one book and one experience, and if it doesn't live up to that, that is completely fine. I'll try and take this book for whatever it is and whatever face value it is, but it does have a lot of potential, and I thought I'd just put that in here because if you're also struggling, maybe this is a book for you, or maybe just know that you're not alone. If you're seeing this and you've also felt that way, you're definitely not alone, you are loved, and you deserve to be here. I promise. Moving swiftly on. How many times have I said that in this video? Probably a lot. Anyway, moving on to the last book of this spring book haul, and that is Paper Girls Volume 3 by Brian K. Vaughan, Cliff Chang, Matt Wilson, and Jared K. Fletcher. I read, or rather reread, the first volume and then read the second volume for, I think, March. I think it read it for the Tis the Damn Readathon. If you didn't know, obviously I can't tell you the plot of this one because I don't actually fucking know. And I can't also tell you the second one because of spoilers, but the overarching story of this graphic novel series is about the teenage girls in the 80s who are currently on their paper round, and by some sheer magical coincidence they time travel to the year 2016, where they meet their older selves and what the kind of society looks like in 2016 as opposed to what it looked like in the 80s. I connected with this story so fucking much, partly because I'm in therapy, as I've already said this video. I'm in therapy and I'm doing a lot of work on my inner self and my inner child and my higher self, and these teens from the 80s meeting their higher selves and their like child selves or their older selves in 2016 and having that conversation between them both just made me so fucking emotional for some strange reason. Highly would recommend this if you're into sci-fi, if you're into, you know, great fucking comic books, because this is fucking stunning. It's gorgeous, it's lovely, it's everything. Also, if you just like found family and healing, and if you're going through what I'm going through as well, like therapy and healing and stuff, you definitely would like this as well. It can get a little bit much at times, but yeah, it's really good and I would highly recommend, and I cannot wait to read this, and I'm really glad that I hold this in spring. I do not want to hold these books up because I know for a fact I will drop them and make a fool of myself. I'm also not going to count them because maths. But thank you so much for watching this book haul. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I'm sorry that we ended on a little bit of a bad note. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you're doing well. If you like the video, please get a massive thumbs up and my channel a subscribe. Maybe in the comments down below, maybe like say a book that you have bought recently that maybe I'd like. I hope that you enjoy any books that you pick up or any productive activity that you manage to do. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye.